Joining me now from the White House, Deputy Press Secretary Brian Morgenstern to fill us in on all things in the White House and in Trump world. How are you doing today, Brian?
I'm doing great, Dan. Good to be with you again.
Hey, thank you for joining Real America again. We appreciate it. All right, where do we begin? Because there's a lot of stuff over the weekend to cover here. I guess we can start out with more on the scandal because obviously the Biden camp and the mainstream media don't want to touch it. Although I was amazed that Mr. Wallace over at Fox did go after the governor of Michigan a little bit and ask questions about the Biden laptop and this controversy. We've now seen videos. We've now seen the emails. We've seen the business partner come forward. I don't know how much more evidence the mainstream media, Biden camp, and Democrats need before this is actually investigated and looked into. And I got to preface this before you take over, Brian, so folks get it. It's not about Hunter. It's about his dad's connections and how he may be compromised with China if he were to become the 46th president, right?
That's right, Dan. And I appreciate you framing it appropriately. I mean, what we've got here is a career politician, 47 years. And this is a problem. This is why President Trump was elected, because this was the standard operating procedure. Politicians would get in saying they were going to serve the people, and then they and their families, their spouses, their children, their cousins, their aunts, their uncles, you name it, would cash in on that notoriety, that access, selling access to government officials to get special treatment. And what we're looking at here is potentially energy deals with China, that's a country that goes around the world doing energy and infrastructure deals to really infiltrate various societies, and with the idea of eventually exerting so much influence that they effectively control these countries. So if we have one of the most famous political families in America doing deals with communist China that would compromise America's independence, our energy industry, our infrastructure, that is a huge problem, and the American people need to know about it. And thank you for covering it, because so much of the mainstream media is ignoring this bombshell story that really compromises the candidacy of the former vice president and is potentially disqualifying, honestly, for him to serve in the highest office in the land.
Yeah, and we've got a story coming up, too, I believe, that we're going to touch on. One of the highest searches online over the weekend was, how do I change my vote? I wonder what folks on which side of the aisle were saying, oh, geez, oh, no, I need to change my vote, after more and more evidence comes out. Plus, I got to say, a heck of a debate by the president last week as well. Let's move on to Supreme Court confirmation. That is happening as we speak. It's going to happen, although I did see one or two Republican defectors. Can you comment on that?
Sure. The vote is looking very good. It looks like we are going to have a confirmation this evening, and we will have 9 justices on the Supreme Court. It is a great day for America. It's a great day for fairness. It is a great day for the rule of law. We have an eminently qualified justice who is a working mom from the Midwest with impeccable educational credentials, an impeccable resume, really a tremendous record as a jurist on the Court of Appeals for the 7th Circuit. We are so proud of this nominee. Judge Barrett is going to be an outstanding justice who is going to uphold our fundamental rights at a time when our free speech is under attack, our freedom to worship is under attack, our right of self-defense enshrined in the Second Amendment is under attack. We need justices who are going to be upholding our rights and interpreting the Constitution as written. This could not be more important for the American people, and it is really one of President Trump's legacy issues and legacy items that is, it's really a terrific day for the American people, and it's a time to celebrate.
And I believe we will have a Justice Barrett come the morning. Let's talk about one of the first cases that she will most likely have to oversee and vote on and make her ruling, that is. And this is something I've been saying for a couple months since it came out that the state Supreme Court of Pennsylvania ruled that these mail-in ballots could come in 3 days after the election. I'm sorry, but the election is November 3rd, not November 6th. So I don't know if folks know, Brian, obviously you do, maybe some out there that pay attention are news junkies like us, but it did go to the Supreme Court. It was shot back down to the lower court because it was a 4-4 with Justice Roberts signing with the more left-leaning judges. So when the Supreme Court ties, which never happens, it goes back to the other court. So they're allowed to do this. But I just heard this morning that GOP lawmakers are pushing for it to go back. And if Amy is confirmed and we have a Justice Barrett, then that could be a different story, correct? And that could mean a big difference in Pennsylvania, which I've said for months will be the state to watch. The only state will be Pennsylvania.
Right. Well, Dan, I wouldn't want to put Justice Barrett or any other justice in a bad position by sort of forecasting any particular case or anything like that. I will say it is critically important. Senator Cruz and others have made this point very eloquently. It is critically important to have a 9-member court because, as you say, ties go back to lower courts. And some of our lower courts, the Ninth Circuit, of course, is famous for being overruled at the Supreme Court because it has a number of judges that I think conservatives would regard as activists. So it's critically important that we have a 9-member Supreme Court so that we can have 5-4 rulings, so that we can have decisions made for the American people on these critical issues. If the election comes before the court and it's a tied court or a split court, I mean, that could be a disaster. We might not know results for weeks or months. Right. And Inauguration Day is scheduled for January 20th. We have to know who the next president is going to be. It has to be a free and fair election. We have to have clear decisions made by the court. And as I said, some of the issues that are really pending here, given sort of the cultural shifts we're seeing with big tech censoring certain stories. We have media that's going to be fighting for their First Amendment rights, the freedom of the press. We have the American people fighting for their free speech rights, the right to think the way they want to think, the way to express themselves. They want to express themselves in this kind of cancel culture. The Supreme Court is going to be vital for upholding the Bill of Rights and preserving what has made America great over the last 2 centuries. And so it's critically important that we have a 9-member court, and we're pleased to see that the Senate is moving on this sterling nomination of Judge Barrett, and that very soon she will be Justice Barrett. Yeah,
I just don't get, and you're right about the Ninth Circuit Court, let's not even talk about them, how left-leaning those justices have been. I don't understand how a Supreme Court in that state decides that 3 days after, even with this pandemic, that's constitutional. And that's obviously what is at hand. It's not constitutional. Ballots don't get to come in 3 days after the vote. Anyway, I shouldn't digress on that. I want to finish up, Brian, real quick with the home stretch. 8 days out, both these candidates are going to be going head-to-head, although I would say one, obviously, a lot more energy and a lot more enthusiasm in the crowd than the latter. Give us the playbook for the next week for the president. What are we going to see?
Barnstorming. It is going to be multiple events every day. The president is going to visit with the American people with his classic sense of humor, and he is going to remind them that one side is for freedom, it is for economic growth, it is for job creation, it is for lower taxes, deregulation, it is for better trade deals, it is for more peace deals and less war, it is for price transparency and lower health care costs. The other side is offering riots. They are offering court packing. They are offering the 25th Amendment to try to remove the president. They are offering one of the most radical climate change agendas, job-killing agendas, free speech stifling agendas maybe we have ever seen in our entire history. And so the choice could not be starker. And here, as you noted, we have one candidate fighting for every vote, visiting every swing state multiple times, and another one hiding away because they know that the more America sees of their ticket, the less they like them. Yeah. So this is a critical week ahead of us, and the president can't wait to speak to the American people as many times as he can between now and Election Day.
Yeah, and he's seeing 25, 35, 45,000 people show up while Sleepy Joe's got Bon Jovi and Cher showing up and 42 people turn out. I don't get it. I don't understand how these polls have this man up by double digits when there is no enthusiasm for this presidency, for him, not to mention the scandal that is brewing, that is out there. The evidence is there. Brian Morgenstern, I know you got to get to work. So do we. We got more guests. Thank you so much, man, for making a few minutes for us. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Good to be with you.
Yep, take care. Straight ahead on Real America, millions of Americans still waiting on a new round of stimulus checks to help them make ends meet. But House Speaker Nancy Pelosi still not willing to work with the White House. We'll have more on that when we return.